Today, live from the Pinecrest Inn, it's the Smylie Show. So long, everybody.
This is the Smylie Show.
Welcome back to another episode of the Smylie Show. We have Smylie joining us from La Quinta. Is that the address of the hotel you're in? Getting ready to take a little flight out of LAX? Yeah.
In La Quinta. It's gosh, I mean this place really is heaven on earth. I mean, it maybe the community is a little older than I would probably prefer, but I tell you what, whenever I get to that age, it's going to be considered. It's perfect here.
Retiree life, Smylie, just starts sounding better every single day. That we get a little bit older, have the kids wear on you a little bit more. You're like, I wouldn't hate just kind of living out in the desert and not worrying about the cold, looking outside at all the snow out here. Not a bad setup.
I think I'm built for the golf cart community life at some point. I think we've been working that way for years and years and years. But it's just phenomenal. It's beautiful. I mean, it was 70 degrees today, like hardly any humidity, and the wind wasn't blowing. It's just awesome. There's so many great golf courses out here too, but it's just not quite as easy to get to from the East Coast. That would be my only knock on it, is that you'd have to take multiple flights just to fly into Palm Springs. So that's definitely a knock, but still a place that you always love to come to and get to play some great golf courses.
I hit balls into a net in my garage today wearing mittens because it was 22 degrees outside. So that is highly enticing, the picture you're painting there. I'm, of course, Charlie Hulme. Excited to invite you in here on another episode. We've got a lot to get to. We have Smylie's first earthquake review. Excited to get to that. A little slip inside video on the big bunker at PGA West 16. I've got a PGA show recap for you, fresh off the excursion down there to Florida, and a stunning turn of events on the travel front. We're going to get a bonus cameo from Jaxon here to talk to us about exploding trees. He's dealing with, I guess, negative 20 degree temperatures.
I have so many questions about that.
Many. We got pictures. I don't know how to understand this phenomenon, how to explain it, but that's what Jackson's here for. And then if you are watching this on YouTube, cannot wait for Wednesday so you can get the drop of an incredible conversation Smylie had with Cameron Young. That'll be out here, as mentioned, on the YouTube channel on Wednesday. And if you're watching this on Golf Channel, we have excerpts of that conversation coming up in the next few segments. And if you want to go watch the full thing, that is out on our YouTube right now. But Smylie, we'll start first, of course, the reason why you're out there in the desert with the AmEx. And it is growing inevitable, Smylie, by the tournament, by the moment. As you mentioned on the Golf Channel broadcast, we are truly running out of superlatives for Scottie Scheffler. He wins yet another. I'll say this, though. The most relatable moment that I saw all week for Scottie was when he tried to hand Bennett a club after the win, and Bennett swatted it away angrily. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I get that. I can relate to that. There's nothing like being a dad to keep you grounded. So, I mean, we started this week, Smylie. We all had a laugh when we looked at the odds. He was sub 3-1 to be in the week. We even suggested fading him. That was. I hope you did not take our advice on that front. And as we do in times like these, we go straight to Justin Ray's Twitter to get a couple great context nuggets on just Scottie's dominance. So he's he's taken the third fewest PGA Tour starts since 1960. To reach 20 wins. He's behind Tiger, who was first, and Jack Nicklaus second, one ahead of Arnold Palmer.
Tiger did that in 95 starts, by the way, which is just stupid.
Mind-blowing.
And by the way, his 20th was at the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach in 2000, which is,
great way to cap it off.
It's like, all right, Pebble U.S. Open 2000, AmEx 2026. Pretty relatable things if you had to compare the two.
Both. I think it ends it being in the same state, but beyond. This is another great one from Justin Ray. This is Scottie's 14th win in his last 35 starts. So he's winning his last 35 starts. He's winning at a rate of 40%. Just casual stuff for Scottie. And then also using the OWGR as a reference point against Tiger. You sent this over. Love this. The gap between world number 1 Scottie Scheffler and number 2 Rory McIlroy is greater than the gap between Rory and world number 58 Matt McCarty. And this is per Scheffler Legion on X. Scottie, at the beginning of this week, began his 140th consecutive week as the world number 1. He's just under halfway to Tiger's record of 281 weeks in a row, which means he'd have that record on Monday, October 16th, 2028 if he kept up the streak. And so let's, I mean, trying to contextualize
with the world ranking thing real quick, somebody had said to us, this is a stat that I heard, and I'm not sure how accurate it is because it doesn't even make sense. But this is without Scottie Scheffler winning at the AmEx. He could have sat out the rest of this season, and Rory McIlroy could have won 5 Players' Championships, and he still would not have eclipsed world number 1. And I say that stat, not crunching the numbers myself, just relying on that stat from somebody else. So I'm sorry if it's not true, but we're rolling with it. That is just stupid. Just contextualizing that.
It's amazing. You read some of these things and they feel like misprints. And that's why it leads perfectly into where I want to go with you now, which is that was Tiger's whole career. I was reading stats that felt like they were misprints. And I know people talk about, oh, it's lazy to compare Scottie to Tiger, but where else can we go in moments like this and looking at the next great reference for greatness? And so you made note of this on the broadcast that I thought was really interesting. Of Scottie wins lots of different types of tournaments, which is reminiscent of Tiger. He can win close ones. He can win U.S. Open tests. He can win shootouts as he did this week at the AmEx. For me, I can't remember Scottie really giving away a tournament he was supposed to win since maybe the 2022 Tour Championship. You can fact check me there if you can think of another one. That reminds me a ton of Tiger always winning the tournaments he was supposed to win, or when he was chasing, just striking this fear in the rest of the field and forcing mistakes so he could bring them back into play and then, of course, win that tournament. And so, obviously, like Blades Brown's 18 years old. He's got a lot to learn. I wouldn't expect him to go head-to-head and beat Scottie today. But we're also playing alongside a tour veteran in Siwoo Kim and a guy who's won this event before and had a huge impact on Siwoo and the way he kind of just seized this thing and ran away with it. Are there any other, or maybe you can continue to expound on the one you noted on the broadcast, just Tiger dynamics that you're starting to see in the way Scottie plays and the rest of the field reacts when he tees it up?
Well, I would say just from the stats and how we measure these guys, yeah, it's pretty dang comparable at this point from a stats perspective. When I look at Scottie Scheffler and I see that he leads every single year just about in off the tee, in iron play, and then scrambling. He was third last year, gets it up and down just about 70% of the time. And then he's turned himself into a top 20 putter in the world. So when we talk about all of the tools, well, when you add all of that up, it feels unbeatable. I mean, that's just how good he is just on the golf course. And then you throw in the other elements, and this is where you kind of get to the Tiger comparison. No, Tiger had this aura about him that was scary when you played with him in the final group. And, Scottie doesn't necessarily have that quite as much, but what you feel the pressure from Scottie is what he's able to do and psych you out with how good he is in hitting it the exact shot he should just about every single time. He never makes mistakes. And so that pressure is what adds up on players that are either chasing him in the final group with him, and they know that he's not going away. So you throw that aspect in, then you go into the mental part of the game. And Scottie is so good in between the years. And he never takes a shot off. He never takes a day off. Every single day is just as important as the last. And I think maybe with other players who've become number one in the world, they look in the rearview mirror maybe a couple more times than he has. He's so process oriented, and so is Tiger Woods. So when you start comparing those two, I think they're most relatable in how they carry themselves with their business. And I think that's probably nobody's done that quite as good since Tiger. And then you throw in all the other stuff that he's really good at. I mean, I'm sure you can compare the iron game being just as good. Scottie's a more accurate driver of the golf ball than Tiger was, and he's maybe not quite as powerful and maybe doesn't have quite the emotion that Scottie sometimes doesn't carry himself with. He's so lackadaisical and is not just pumping up the crowd. He just is like, yep, that's what I was supposed to do, and we're going to the next hole. But I'll leave you with this. When it comes to Scottie Scheffler and Tiger Woods, it was appointment TV for me every single Sunday that Tiger Woods was playing, whether he won or lost in the final group or if he's chasing. That was something that I looked forward to watching with my family on Sundays. And now I imagine that there's plenty of of families, or whether it be father and sons or father and daughters, that sit on the couch every single Sunday, appointment TV, to watch greatness unfold. I mean, what he's been able to do over the last 4 years is, I don't think anybody could have seen it coming.
Yeah, I think I don't know if there's something to this, and maybe you can kind of help me here with this, but as we look back at Tiger's career and Tiger's highlights, the ones we remember, the ones that stand out are pulling off these insane shots from insane places, right? And it's actually interesting because if you go back and look at the way he played in a lot of these majors, he was able to play more conservative than many of his competitors because he had so much more length, and he could rope 3-wood past all these guys hitting drivers, right? And so, but if you look at those big moments, that was maybe sort of the fear, is like, if I have a lead or if I'm kind of in the hunt or being chased by Tiger, it's that he's never really out of this. Whereas it almost feels like with Scottie, in a way, it's that maybe the fear or the stress you feel as someone who is leading by a few shots is he's never going to make a mistake. Like, I can't make any missteps because he's just going to keep hitting the ball 20 feet away from the flag. And by the way, he's fixed the putting, so now he can make all those for birdie. And it's just this dread, this existential dread you must feel competing against Scottie, where it's like, I cannot make any mistakes. And having Blades in the mix, it's like one bad miss off the tee. All right, thanks for playing. That's the end of your tournament. In a lot of ways, it's crazy.
The only time that he's actually made it fun for us to be like, oh, is he going to blow it? He's got like a 5-shot lead. And he did that today. Hit a 6-shot lead on the 17th hole. I was like, this is actually the time I'm going to remind you guys that I am human, hit in the water. And then you go back to the 2022 Masters where he 4 putts, or it felt like he's still putting on that green, still wins. I don't think he even knows how many he won by that Masters. But that's the only time that I can think of where it's kind of like leaked back on him. But you're right.
The bunker shot at Portrush this last year, like the one flubbed bunker shot all week long, right?
The shanked bunker shot at the Tour Championship,
that's right.
And then he hits a 4 iron to 4 feet on the next hole. Like it's just his reset is incredible. He resets faster than a MacBook. It's been fun to just watch his greatness unfold. Truly, just an incredible talent, and it's so fun to be in this generation, to watch him set the standard every single day.
It's almost like you wonder if he's like posting to a gin app at a certain point. Like some of these misses, I got the tournament sewn up. Let's do a little handicap management here. Let's just hit one in the water at 17.
Maybe.
I don't want to post 29 under, but if I post 27, it's a little easier on the number I get. Last one on Scottie before we get to Blades Brown, because there's a ton I want to unpack there, is just before that water ball at 17, he was top 20 in all the strokes gained categories. And the largest field of the year, right? So, it's an impressive.
Stats get a little wonky this week because they don't have shot link over at Nicholas and La Quinta, so kind of throw everything out for this week. If you want to look at just the stadium and just look at that would be your best way of going about kind of who did what this week. You can look at the fairways and the green stats as your guide, but it really, this was a week in which it was hardly any wind except for Saturday. And ultimately it was just if you hit the fairway, you're most likely going to have a 10-footer for birdie. So that's how to sum up the week.
We can roll through it then. And more so, and you already kind of mentioned this, so maybe you've said what you need to on this, but I just think it's amazing to where we've arrived with him, where this guy is a true 5-tool player. Like there is he is bulletproof in so many ways, and maybe that's where you just leave it.
It's yes. If there's any other tools, you can add that too. It was just incredible. He cleans up everything that he's supposed to. He leaves it in the right places. Ted Scott's their relationship and their ability to just understand time and score and hit the right shots every single time. It's got to be fun to caddy for him. But I'll say this about the AmEx as we kind of think about next year, a broader conversation. What I loved about Sunday and what I loved about this field is that there were so many different storylines. And I don't want the tour to go away too much from events like this, because you had Andrew Putnam, a guy that has everything to play for. You have Blades Brown, an 18-year-old, has an opportunity to be the second youngest winner on the tour. And you got, Siwoo Kim, who's a guy who everybody loves to watch, but there were so many other guys that had chances to win, which I think the more storylines, the better. the signature event model, I think you could argue you wouldn't have had nearly as many fun storylines as a viewer to feel like, wow, somebody's life and their job feels like it's on the line on this Sunday, and you can really feel it through the TV screen. And I felt that today with some players.
There's something about it. You know how I'm such a sucker for like young rising stars. Those are the guys that I'm rooting for. And we mentioned it coming into the week. We were making one and done picks where this week sets up so nice for young guys who, even like Blaze Brown, who's coming off of, and we'll talk about this next. Like, this guy played 144 holes of competitive golf in an 8-day span. Like, my body would disintegrate if I had to do what Blaze Brown just did.
He's about to fly to Panama next too, which is.
But it's one of those things where it's like, this is almost as close as you're going to get to a Korn Ferry Tour setup, right? Where it's just, you just make a million birdies because that's what you have to do to make the cut. And so I think there's something that's fun about that. It doesn't work every week. And I even kind of think back to a couple of years at the Century where there was no wind and the scores were ridiculously low. Cam Smith won one year like 33 under or 34 under, whatever it was. You're like, limited field doesn't really do it for me. But this week there's something fun about seeing a guy or picking a guy at one and done where you're like, oh man, he's out of it. Oh wait, no, Pearson Cooney made 7 birdies in a row. Like, he's back. Like, we're here we go. And the ebbs and flows of that, 3 different courses. I really delight in this event. It's a lot of fun. And to your point, I hope that this is one where you could change the composition of some of these fields, but like, let's keep the fun characteristics of events like this, right?
Well, I could tell you that Sony and American Express, they want to be back with the PGA Tour. They want to have these events. And so I think there's a little bit of a song and dance that's happening between the two. I think the PGA Tour is tap dancing a little bit and everybody else is out on the dance floor wanting to party. And I'm interested to see what happens, because it's just hard to say no to these big sponsors that are willing to put up the dollars, and especially in locations in which players like to be at, in Hawaii and American Express and La Quinta, such an amazing place to start the year. Now, I understand the ratings aspect of starting the year with a big bang in Phoenix, but I tell you what, I still feel like if you can maneuver around football enough, I feel like these events still should be happening. I do understand the opening day vibe with baseball and how important it is for everybody to get excited about golf being back. But go ask the players and see what they say. And I guarantee you they would say that, hey, I just want a tee time in January. And if they have $7 million purses, I want to be playing, and I want to try to be able to, whether it's earn FedEx Cup points or work on my game early in the year, to have more opportunities throughout the year, so that, I just feel like I'm not up against it right as we get going.
For pure aesthetics, like, I know watching the multicast today where I had Patriots Broncos on one and the AmEx on the other, I know which one was more visually soothing to me. So at the very least, please keep it around for that reason. Smylie, what a week for the 18-year-old who narrowly misses a putt for 59 on Friday. And then on Saturday, when you're sitting next to his coach, Justin Parsons, at the happy hour desk, he finishes birdie, 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 including a 2 right in front of you at 17 to book a ticket into the final group alongside Scottie and Siwoo. We talked about 144 holes in 8 days. That still blows my mind. Obviously not the Sunday he wanted, Smylie, but here's the place I'm going on that is, like, there has to be so much value in sitting there and watching Scottie Scheffler go about winning that golf tournament as a kid who's just seems like he's a sponge right now, just taking it all in. Like, to me, it feels like that's got to live in his memory bank and help him inform how he wants to compete for quite a while as he kind of works his way into Tour Pro life.
Man, he's just got this youthful joy about him, doesn't he? He just
so
pumps
good.
you up with energy.
Oh.
Even if you're having a bad day, I'd love to be around Blades Brown just like, dude, come on, let's have some fun. And that's the way he is.
Oh.
He's been that way since I've met him. I guess this time last year at some point. But yeah, he turns pro at 17 years old. I'm sure. I asked Justin Parsons this on Happy Hour. I'm sure that he got a lot of advice probably from whether it be PGA Tour players, family members, whoever it might be, that probably said, hey, you should probably go to school for a year or two. Like Tiger Woods, he did that. And he turned out okay. And it's kind of been the path that, that there's been avenues for, that now that there's the PGA Tour U program that has the accelerated part of it, that you can get a card quicker than you can imagine in college. So I imagine it's tough to go against your gut on that, but also, hey, if you're ready, you're ready. And I appreciate that he has the confidence to go out and just say, you know what, I'm gonna go take my lumps, go figure it out, and just start my clock early. So to see what he's done at this point, when he turned pro and then finding his way onto the Corn Ferry and have special temporary status to basically give himself a full year on the Corn Ferry Tour this year, or this past year, and now enters a year in which he was in a great opportunity to kind of either parlay it into chasing the PGA Tour a little bit more or the Corn Ferry. And he'll still have that opportunity, earning some decent amount of FedEx Cup points this week. And I also need to mention too, that I think I need to go to Vegas, Charlie. And the reason I say that is I texted Justin Parsons last week and I said, Justin, all the players that we're trying to get are on the golf course. We're going to need to have a guarantee of a guest. Would you mind, just being the coach and having a bunch of insight into just what players are doing technique wise? We'd love to have you on happy hour. And he's like, yeah, sure, I'm in. And fast forward to this week. And of course, the storyline of this golf tournament, besides Scottie Scheffler doing what he normally does, is Blades Brown, an 18-year-old, almost shooting a 59, and then coming down and burning 16, 17, 18 on Saturday
in front
with
of
his
you.
coach.
Like you
watching.
couldn't script any better. It's so good. It's so
I just needed to make that note that we didn't ask Justin day of. We didn't ask him after the 59. This was done last week. It was just the most random bit of luck that I think I've experienced. And then even today, we had a little $1 bet in our booth of what time coverage was going to end or the last putt was going to drop. And I said 3:48. Scottie Scheffler, right on 3:48, like in 2 seconds. I'm like, if anybody needs like a lottery ticket, I got the numbers.
Just don't ask us for one and done picks.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. But next week I might be hot.
We might be back. You mentioned something off the top that I think is so interesting because I feel like most athletes in general, notwithstanding just golfers, they fall into one of two buckets, right? They're either very confident and very assured of themselves, but there's almost this unlikable aspect of like you're almost a little bit too cocky. You know how good you are, or
you got to have some of that,
nice
man.
And super likable and super approachable, but they're too nice, and they're going to get eaten alive. Like it's so interesting to me that he seems to have this mix of both. He's very confident in his skills. He knows he's good enough to compete on this tour. He knows he belongs. But he's playing rock, paper, scissors with the fans when he's walking up. I don't know that I can think of a guy. I'm sure there are guys, but they're so rare. And to have that mix at 18 is it's going to serve him extremely well, it seems like.
I would subscribe to his YouTube channel if he had one. This is the type of guy that feels like he'd be fun to watch on camera every day. So he's young enough. Is that Gen Z or is it below that? I don't know where Gen Z starts and stops. But
that's right. we gotta go to the stats department for that. We gotta ask Jaxon. Well, when we ask him about exploding trees, we'll get his thought on Gen Z.
Yeah, but he does a lot of really cool stuff in his golf swing. If you had a chance to watch that happy hour, Parsons kind of talked about it. It reminded me, just how upright he stands, how rotational he is, not a ton of wrist set. It reminds me of an early Bryson DeChambeau as an amateur, how he swung the golf club. But really his one key attribute that is relatable to Spieth is how he kind of chicken wings it through the shot. And so just different and a little bit unorthodox, but also Parsons talked about it too. And if you're looking on the screen, you can see the side-by-side we use on the golf channel, and that's Blades Brown on the left and Jordan Spieth on the right. Just that left arm, how it's chicken wing. And so what that actually serves as is a face stabilizer through the shot. And Jordan talks about it all the time. He wants that face to be as square as he possibly can from the hit all the way through. So he's just holding it. That's why that arm eventually gets bent, because he doesn't want that face to turn over, which is why you don't see Blades hit very many draws. I didn't see him hit one draw today. He's a rotational player that, I don't even know what he would have to do to hit a draw besides just moving the ball back and just using science as his guide in basic physics. But it's really cool. It's different. And I just enjoy watching him play golf.
That was golly, I love that the technical aspect, the swing aspect of that happy hour alongside Justin so much. My only complaint is that coming off of Ludwig, I have like 18 different swing thoughts right now that I'm trying to fit into one swing, and it's hard to kind of get them all to mix or mesh. So you explained a little bit mechanically about why that works there, and also there was another thing that you were talking about that of how blades generate speed for a swing that can look unorthodox to some. And could you just explain a little bit about just the way his core, and I think you were talking about a little bit of that, like using the ground, that drive off that right leg, of just like that's how you can have all those things that Bryson had and Jordan had. And by the way, great to be in the company of two multiple major winners, but just guys that go about it a unique way. How can you have those attributes, but also have the ball speed that he does?
Yeah, he uses the ground really good. You know, it's a downswing that it's a little bit steep coming out of the top, which is why I think it's a little difficult for him to hit a draw. But how do you get rid of steep? Well, you got to do a couple of different things. You either have a late shallow, like a Scottie Scheffler, where you drive that right leg and that ankle's working internally this way, or you jump out of the way. And he has a lot of jump and getting that chest, like very rotational with his torso, which I always think that the more that you can use your big muscles in your chest, that's always something that is going to be helpful. And there's just not a ton of hands in his golf swing. So he's going to use those big muscles more. You're going to rely on those. And I think the longer he plays this game, the more he's going to add different variations of whether it's different trajectories or shot shapes, being able to hit a draw when he has to. And those are things he'll learn to do. I think the more PGA Tour events you play, or even Korn Ferry, you get reps every week. So there's always an opportunity to keep working on your game. Remember, he's super young. Like you can't be too critical at all for a player who had a chance to shoot 59 and win on the PGA Tour. So a lot to like, a lot to be excited about for this young little phenom.
Yeah. I mean, and I think the biggest thing again is like, not even necessarily the swing, but just the way he seems to approach it and the mindset, you know what I mean? Of a guy that's just is going to sponge up information as he kind of matures and competes. And I think he'll be well served by that. So Smylie, it is not always here on the show that we often get players on the heels of a good performance, of a good win, but usually it takes us a few days or a week. We have a real treat tonight here on the Smylie Show because we are being joined by Blades Brown, fresh off his final round at the AmEx, playing in the final group. And so we're going to kick into that conversation right now so you can hear from Blades about the week that was out in La Quinta.
All right, guys, we are thrilled and happy to be joined by Blades Brown, of course, one of the big storylines from this American Express Championship. And Blades, I can't even imagine what the last 8 days have been like for you, going from the Bahamas, the Korn Ferry event down there, and flying Wednesday after the round all the way to La Quinta, California for the American Express. And then having the week that you just had where you had a putted 59, play in the final group with Scottie Scheffler, the world number one, and have a chance to be the second youngest winner on the PGA Tour. I know the day didn't exactly go the way that maybe you envisioned, but still, how can you sum up a week like this and what it can do for your confidence moving forward?
Well, I mean, Smylie, you said it perfectly. Like, how awesome is that? I'm 18 years old. I'm playing on the PGA Tour. I played in the final round with Scottie Scheffler. It was my 8th competitive tournament round in a row. Like, what is better than that? I cannot put into words how awesome this week was. I'm so blessed to be able to play. I mean, PGA West, like they did an unbelievable job. I will say it was nice going from Abaco where it's blowing 30 and the greens are probably 10 or so to La Quinta where there was no wind and the greens were rolling 13. So I had an unbelievable time competing on the PGA Tour this week.
You know, if there was an opportunity for me to press the tornado siren or just a siren around La Quinta where everybody could hear it, I would have done it after your first 7 holes on the Nicklaus course to let everybody know that Blades Brown is on 59 watch. Everybody needs to get to the Nicklaus course to see if this guy can finish it out. When you're 8 under through 7 holes, how tough is that mentally to not think about that number and just keep on going shot after shot? Because when you get that many under, it's hard not to get out in front of yourself, right?
Yeah. I had a semi goal for that day because La Quinta is the easiest of the 3 golf courses, and I only shot 5 under, which, I mean, honestly, I'll take that any day of the week just because I had no practice rounds, so I haven't played those golf courses in over a year. But yeah, so I wanted to actually shoot 10 at the Nicklaus course starting the day, and then I was 8 under through 7, and
that was the goal.
And I'm like, Brett, we might need to change our goal here. And so then once we were 8 through 7, I said, okay, let's see if we can get 5 more. Cause I knew it was a par 72 and I've never shot 59 before. I've shot 60 before. But I was like, this could be really special. So But yeah, just came up one short. Got a perfect read off David on the last putt. I mean, I would honestly argue that if I hadn't seen his putt, there might have been a chance that it gone in. But no, I hit my line, and unfortunately, it didn't go in. But I had so much fun playing the Nicholas course.
I mean, it looked like it was a putt that just had to move left from David Ford's
I know.
putt. It looked like it fell left at the end. So it was a tough read. We saw plenty of guys, kind of get fooled on that ninth green. I don't know if it's just being over there by the lake and not quite understanding where the pull was, but I'm with you. I would have put it half in, half out and just trusted that it was going to turn, but it did move an inch left.
Yeah. I had it like a half a ball out, and then oh man, dude, I want that putt back so bad, but it's all right. I'm hoping to have another chance at that sometime.
Hey, still, you got a course record 60th in Nicholas course. So you got that notch in your belt. And as we got to Saturday, I think one of the most difficult things to do for any professional golfer is to follow up a day in which everything goes your way. You had a chance to shoot 59, and then you head to the most difficult golf course in this rotation, the Stadium, which was averaging right around 1 or 2 under par for the week. But also you get the forecast where they're actually slowing down the greens on Saturday. So you have to think heading into that day, it's like, hey, a 4 under round of golf would be probably pretty good today. How difficult was it for you to kind of reset for that Saturday round?
Yeah, I mean, any round following up a 60 is probably going to be a little bit more challenging than it needs to be. But no, I just stuck to my game plan and tried to execute the shots that I know I could. Got off kind of slow. I think I was maybe 1 under through 15 or so, and then finally got one to go on 16. And then I actually seeing you guys and JP on your podcast. That was awesome. I look over and I go, wait, that's JP. And then, we made the putt. So that was probably one of the highlights. And then 18, sunk that one as well. So.
Yeah, it was a great way to finish the round. And not only how important those putts were for you to the end goal, but also it got you into the final pairing. And not only did it get you in the final pairing, but I'm curious, were you watching Scottie Scheffler close out his Saturday round? Because if he misses, a 35-footer for par, he's in the second to last group. Did you want him to make the putt on 18, or were you like, I don't really know? Like, where was your mind at that point? I imagine you wanted to play with Scottie, right?
It's funny you asked that, because I was actually doing exactly what you just said. So I knew that Siwoo was one ahead of me, and then I was at 21. And then I knew Scottie was kind of coming up, and I think he was at 20. And he had hole 16, 17, and 18. 16, I mean, it's par 5, but it's not the easiest par 5 in the world. And then he had like a 15-foot eagle putt, and I'm thinking, this goes in. I'm playing with Scottie. And so he made birdie, and then part 17. And then I put my phone down for a second, go get something to eat. And then I come back and I'm like, okay, yeah, he's going to make par. And I look at where he's at, and he's like long right to a front left or front right pin. I'm like, oh no, he's going to make bogey. And then he hits it to 40 feet. And I'm like, and then he makes it. And I'm like, I'm playing with Scottie Scheffler tomorrow. So it was really cool to see him roll that in, and to know that I was going to play with him today.
Well, we kind of run out of words on how to describe Scottie Scheffler and what he's been able to do in this game, Blades. And today was another example of it. Just how effortlessly he plays, a golf course and makes it look so easy. What were your takeaways playing with him for the first time and on Sunday of an event where he's trying to win for the 20th time on the PGA Tour?
Yeah, I mean, Scottie Scheffler is the number 1 ranked golfer in the world right now, and it showed. I mean, that's what they do. They just make the game so easy. Like, I didn't even realize Scottie shot 6 under today, and he hit one in the water on 17. Like, he just makes it look so easy. I'd say the one thing though that I took away from today's round was how underrated his short game is. Like, that's one thing I'm trying to work on with my game, and I mean, he almost, like, I'd say his short game and then his wedges. Like, he got up and down so many different, from weird lies. I remember, I think it was it was your 13 or 14. It's the par 3. He hits it way right. And then I'm thinking, okay, this would be a good shot to get inside of 5 feet. And he lips it out. And I'm like, this guy's unbelievable. So I'd say a short game, and then just anything inside of 120 yards. That is what impressed me the most about Scottie Scheffler.
His touch was absolutely phenomenal today. Every time he hit a pitch, it looked like he was going in. And of course, he's trying to win a PGA Tour event. So is Siwoo Kim, and so are you today. Did it ever get to a point today where, walking down the fairway, you were able to ask Scottie any questions, or was he all business?
No, Scotty was great. I mean, I tried to not, be a distraction for him. I was trying to be respectful of his space. But no, I mean, my interactions with Scotty today were awesome. Like there, I remember I made a putt for birdie on hole 2, and he's grinding, or I think he just missed a par putt, and he was like, "Hey, good putt there," and I could tell that, he generally meant like, "Hey, good shot there." So I've all positive to say about Scottie Scheffler. I mean, I had to pinch myself a couple of times because I'm like, I've seen this guy so many times on TV, and I'm now playing around with him on the PGA
Yeah.
Tour. So it was, I was speechless playing with today with Scottie Scheffler.
We just finished up a conversation, Charlie and I, talking about the intimidation factor that Scottie Scheffler brings into a round. A little different than Tiger Woods, who had this aura and swagger about him. But Scottie, I just finished saying that it feels like Scottie overwhelms you with just being exactly right just about every time. Is that a sense of kind of how you felt playing with him today in a final round, that he just wasn't going to make a mistake?
Yeah, I mean, he he had some questionable drives today that I was not expecting. I remember hole number 9, he like toe shanked it left, and I'm like, what? And then he hits it to like 15
He's
feet from
human.
ready, and I'm like, okay, this guy's ridiculous. But no, I mean, Scotty, he just does everything so effortlessly, and I think that's what the best do, is they make this complicated golf game seem really, really easy. But no, Scotty I had so much fun playing with him today, and it fires me up to go work on my game.
And as you head back to complete your year on the Korn Ferry Tour, of course, I know you wanted to finish top 10 to drive over to San Diego. Now, another weird flight that you got to get all the way to Panama, which I'm sure that you and your team are still sorting through. What can you take away that you think you'll be able to use as confidence throughout the rest of the Korn Ferry Tour season that you feel like will help you take it to the PGA Tour next season?
Yeah, I mean, the PGA Tour is a place I want to play. I remember I was walking up 18 today, and I look at Brett and I go, man, I do not want this to end. I want to play on the PGA Tour full time. And yeah, I tried to make the putt on the last hole and end up 3-putting. But I mean, the PGA Tour is a place I want to be in, and it looks like for my route, it's going to be through the Korn Ferry Tour. So I have a lot of positives and a lot of confidence heading into this season on the Korn Ferry Tour, and can't wait for what's next.
Hey, Charlie, why don't you come in here for one quick question before we say goodbye to Blades?
Yeah, Blades, I remember it was probably about this time last year where you kind of first landed on our radars in a professional context. And Smylie was telling a great story about you running into maybe like a short game area, and you stopped him. You said, "Hey, watch this. I want to show you this shot," and hit something that you really were excited to show him. And Justin Parsons on Happy Hour shared a similar story, maybe on the range. You're working on something. You said, "Hey, watch this. I'm going to do this thing mechanically to hit the type of shot we're trying to hit." I love so much this sort of exuberance and mentality you bring to this game. And I think that's going to translate so well to the fans of the PGA Tour and professional golf at large, and just learning about who you are, not only as a golfer, but as a human being. And so I'm wondering, what is the thing that you're most excited to showcase, for fans, of like a sort of a watch this moment as people learn about who Blades Brown is?
Well, I'd like to be what's it called? I'd like to be lifting up a trophy up on Sunday. I think that'd be really nice. But no, I just think that golf is a game that you need to have fun. And I think it's nice to be able to keep it in perspective. I'm 18 years old, and this is my job. I'm playing professional golf. Like, my office is a golf course. Like that is so awesome. So I know that there are kids out there that can't walk, that are missing an arm. And so I try to have as much fun as I can whenever I'm playing golf. And to me, that is just making as many birdies as I can, having fun on the range, because you can never have too much fun playing on the PGA Tour.
Well, I can tell you this, Charlie, that many 18-year-olds, if they just 3-putted the last hole to just miss out an opportunity to go play on the PGA Tour next week, they wouldn't be doing this interview right now. So it shows a lot of maturity about yourself, Blades, and we got a ton of respect for you. And I'll say this too. Charlie and I want no part of your rock, paper, scissors games.
Dude, did you see that? We tied like 5
piece.
times. That was insane.
You're just like, come on, somebody needs to win. Like, I got to go make a putt at 17.
I know, yeah. That was awesome. I love environments like that. I love being able to, because I mean, that's what we are. Like, that's what we signed up for. We signed up to be showmen and show people what we can do. And I don't know. I have a lot of fun doing that.
Well, Charlie and I, we got a lot of respect for you, Blades. You put on such a great performance. It was so fun to watch. We're going to be rooting for you the rest of this Korn Ferry season. Hope to see you out on the PGA Tour and back at the AmEx. Well, we'll see if we're back at the AmEx next year based on the schedule, but still, we hope to be seeing a lot more of you. And first off, congrats on a great week.
Thanks, Smylie.
Man, Smylie, as you mentioned in the interview, not a lot of kids who would stop by after the way that round finished, after a long week, after 8 straight competitive rounds, and take the time to chat with us. But Blades Brown being the exception to that.
I'd be so gassed.
Does not shock me at all, though, given everything we saw from him. And he made a lot of fans this week, and it's going to be really cool to watch him, follow him on the Korn Ferry. And then, of course, you got to think he's going to get more PGA Tour starts this year. So it's going to be cool to see him kind of progress into the PGA Tour life, because he'll be there soon.
Gosh, he's going to melt in his chair on that red eye when he gets on his flight over to the Panama. I don't know where you got to fly through, but maybe we're on the same plane. That'd be funny
good
to see him.
Well, Smylie, I want to continue with a few quick hitters on the AmEx, and I'd say, like, let me put my Homer hat on right now, but I'm actually wearing my Homer hat. It's easy. I don't even have to change, because boy, was it a great day to be a Tar Heel. All right, we got Drake May going to the Super Bowl, for starters, okay? We had David Ford lit it up today with the 65. We had Ben Griffin and Ryan Gerard getting a tee time together, and all Ryan did after finishing 2025, punching a ticket to the Masters in Mauritius, is notch his second consecutive runner-up on the PGA's Tour to start 2026. Here's what I want to know is, where is the trendometer, if I can create a new device, sitting for Ryan Gerard right now, who's a guy just like as in form as it gets?
I'm concerned that I'm going to burn him on a one and done, and I didn't use him, or I should have used him last week or the week prior. So I'm a little worried about that. I feel like he's going to be a popular one and done pick here coming up, just with how hot he's been, and arguably it's probably the best start to the season as far as the guys that have played twice.
Yeah.
So lots of like with Ryan. He's playing obviously confident golf, and two, just to see the progression. You know, I think finishing top 50 probably gave him, you know, just a little bit of that freedom to not feel like he has to chase, you know, being in the Masters to start the year. So he's come out guns a-blazing, and he's letting everybody know he's playing some good golf.
Love to see it. Go Heels. I actually got the text from this week. I guess you're with them. I got the Bayou Go Heels, the GEAUX Heels. Good.
He's like, yeah, he was like, I was just texting with Charlie. I got to text him back. I was like, oh, well, make sure if you say Go Heels, use GEAUX. He'll know. He'll know.
A couple other guys in the field that I want to talk about, worth noting. How about Andrew Putnam as a guy who, you mentioned this off the top of the show, he was in signature events as recently as 2024. He finished 85th in the FedEx Cup Fall in 2024, and then last year 114th. So he's in that conditional status group beyond 100. Went to Q school to hope, you know, to improve his status to a full card. Finished 79th, missed out on that, and then finished his second place this week, tied for second with a number of other guys. He was already in the Farmers this upcoming week via that 111 to 125 ball category, but still, I think as we continue to track what's happening for the guys that were in the 101 to 125 category, the starts they're getting, this is a huge one, right? Because, I mean, it's a lot easier said than done, but this is the game plan, right? If you're a conditional status guy, you get early starts, you capitalize on those. That's how you go about earning your full card back.
And the A on swing 5 too. I mean, he's going to be at the top of those standings, and, you know, is not going to maybe be in those first 2 signature events, but like, this is a guy that was, when you're going to Q school, that's obviously like a look in the mirror of, I don't know what's quite next. So approaching the season, knowing that he'll get into, you know, let's say 15 events, but you still don't know that's tough as a player when you have that doubt of how many events you're going to get, and will it be enough to just keep my conditional status for the following year? Am I going to be back to the Korn Ferry Tour? Would I need to play any Korn Ferry Tour this year on my off weeks? So now finishing in that second place, first off, you get all the FedEx Cup points, but also, I mean, if people forget this, I mean, he had a putt for 59 on the same day that Blades Brown did too. He shot 72 in his first round. And he probably was scrolling on his phone looking for flights, figuring out how he's going to get home. And then he goes out and shoots 12 under par the next day and does it. He just keeps it going, and really impressive stuff to when his back up, really his back is against the wall. And that's one of the storylines that I really enjoyed following this week, along with world number one. Can you imagine if Putnam would have found a way to beat Scottie today with everything to lose and everything to play for all in one?
Yeah, I mean, and it's just, to your point, the mix of all the different storylines, and that leads me to my next and final one on these quick hitters. And I had to note it because this is a member of the hashtag Smylie7 as we led into the year. But another guy that has just earned his tour card back via the Corn Ferry Tour, a guy you love coming into the season, Pearson Coody, ties for that first round lead after firing a 62, made 7 straight birdies at one point, and finishes tied for 18th and 19 under. I mean, there were a lot of young guys that were fun to see near the top of the board this week, but I particularly wanted to mention Pearson for the Thursday he had and just continuing to track his performance. This guy you
We're
really
monitoring.
love.
We're monitoring it.
Yeah. Is that anything else you want to add other than just it's under monitorance or whatever the wording should be there?
Just keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
We have a keen eye on Pearson Coody right now.
Very good. Well, that is all for the PGA Tour this week. I want to head over to the DP World Tour, Smylie, where Patrick Reed won the Hero Dubai Desert Classic by 4 shots, moved up to 29th in the OWGR in the process, which is, at this point, he's a virtual certainty to be in all the majors via the OWGR rankings. I want to read you a selection of Patrick Reed quotes this week that I found to be very interesting. So we opened up the week. He spoke to James Corrigan of the Telegraph and said a lot of different things, but one pull quote that I want to read you is, "I always enjoyed my time out there on the PGA Tour. I mean, let's be honest, it's the best tour in the world. Look what they've done in golf. I could see myself playing there at some point again." Interesting, right? Patrick Reed goes on to win the tournament, and I'm going to read you a series of question and answers between the assembled media and Patrick Reed. So the first question is, can I just clear up something you said to us the other day? Twice you used the phrase, "You're supposed to be teeing it up in Riyadh for the first live event." Does that suggest you still have some negotiation to do? Patrick Reed said, "We're still finalizing the contract. We're not complete on that yet." And then another question, "For this year or future years?" And he said, "For this year." Question, "So you're a free agent?" Patrick Reed, "At the moment, yes, sir." And another reporter followed up on that and said, just wanted to clarify, is there a chance you won't play in Saudi Arabia and you played your last event for Live? And Patrick says, "Not that I know of, not right now. Really just all kind of depends on everything. I haven't talked to the team back home or anything like that." And then there's a follow-up question, just trying to understand, what do you consider your options to be if you don't do Live? Patrick says, "Continue to play out here and be in the top 10 and be on the PGA Tour next year." And the question was another question follow-up to that was, "Do you see that as a pathway?" And gave a front of the answer, but the back end was, "Yeah, I mean, if I ended up not playing on Live this year, obviously it would be one of those things that I would be out here playing more on the DP World Tour, trying to secure one of those spots in the top 10 to allow myself to get back to the PGA Tour."
Especially just after winning, right? I mean, shoot.
Right. I mean, and this is set against, there are other quotes I've not read you, which are, he has to assume all of his fines this year on the DP World Tour. And he said, "I'll happily pay them." He's been one of those guys that's really been committed to playing this tour, even as an American and traveling over here. And he said, "I'll happily pay these fines. I love supporting this tour." So the last one is, I think it's just interesting in the context of all we've discussed the past few weeks, past few months, past few years. Is it strictly money, or is it how you feel about the direction of the tour in this case being Live? And he said, "No, I mean, it's just one of those things with contracts and stuff. There's a lot of language and wording and contracts and everything. And really at this point, I mean, I don't know where everything stands." What do you make of all that, Smylie?
It was a little bit of a surprise. I think so often we've seen Live players give their tour, Live Golf Tour, its flowers. Hasn't it kind of felt that way over the past? Like, how often have you seen a player talk about a potential pathway back to the PGA Tour? Maybe it's because Brooks has opened the floodgates a little bit. I was surprised. I always felt like Patrick Reed, well, you got to give him credit. He does good play everywhere. And he's not afraid to go and play the DP World Tour, go and play all around the world. And he did that before as well when he was on the PGA Tour. But it feels like a little play of leverage. I think we can kind of agree that there might be a monetary value of, hey, I think y'all need me more than I need you right now. Maybe a little bit of that song and dance right before we get to the Live season, what their backup plan might be. So he definitely has leverage after a big win. But you also think about it from Patrick's standpoint. It's like, well, if they don't give me the dollar that I might be worth to play the Live Golf Tour this year, Well, you know what I could do is I could not play, and I could just play the DP World Tour, not have to pay the fines of $1 million+ throughout this year while playing both tours, and try to make my way back to the PGA Tour. That it seems like he's in a really good spot right now with leverage with the Live Golf Tour. Also got the win on the DP, so he's set up there to go try to chase that. So I think all options are good options for Patrick right now.
I think the contractual stuff is so fascinating. Like I wonder, just if you're a Live executive, like you got to be kicking yourself for not having locked all these guys up prior to the Brooks news. Because to your point, the leverage swings completely in the direction of any box office draw or guy like, Patrick Reed. Now he's in all these majors, but even prior to that, he's in the Masters for life, right? Any guy that brings your league some sort of relevance or OWGR points, however you're going to cut it, is of huge value. And now even more so with Brooks being gone. So, I mean, I just would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for what happened with the Brooks contract dissolution, what's happening now with Bryson's re-up discussions, and even with this, with Patrick Reed. Because, yeah, I mean, any agent worth their salt's probably saying, well, wait a second, I think we're worth a little bit more now. And I know you're saying you're not going to pay these acquisition fees or re-up fees, but
they're going
you might need to.
Yeah. So are you getting a sense that Patrick Reed has not quite entered his name in the transfer portal, but might? Is that kind of what your sources are, or you're just your gut is telling you?
What it's interesting because the way he kept wording it was basically like, once I get to a tournament, my team does a really good job protecting me. I don't like to talk business stuff. He's like, he said a couple times, to be fair, he qualified. He said, this thing might all be done. I might get home and talk to my team and they might have all this stuff hammered out. Right. But for Patrick Reed's sake and his team's sake, I hope they didn't, because I think he's worth a little bit more money now. And I think there really is, to your point, it's like there is a nuclear option on the table for him, especially if it's like, well, here's the deal is largely done. We need Patrick to sign pen to paper on this. It's like, well, I've got a few last minute requests now that I'm a winner on the DP World Tour, and I can have status on that tour, and I can play my way back to the PGA Tour via that pathway. I just, I think he's probably testing the waters. I think he's
Keep
probably
an eye on it. We'll monitor.
I think it's another monitoring. And on that front, too, of course, this news this last week that Michael Asasso signed with the High Flyers. He gives up his Masters bid, which he earned, of course, as an amateur, as the NCAA Individual Championship. Curious if what direction that's moving the needle for you, if at all.
Well, Michael, we've had him on the show. He's an incredible player, done so much at Ole Miss and making the Walker Cup team. It's interesting because you don't know how much money he was paid, but it seemed like he was set up in a really good position, being in the top 3 of the PGA Tour U standings to qualify for the PGA Tour. But opportunities like this maybe don't come up often. So now once he accepts the Live Golf invite, now how long does he have? Is it longer than a year? Is it just, if he has a poor year, is he off? Like, how big of a payout was this to make this worth his while? Because, when in the position that he was, being the NCAA champion, it was definitely, you could have made an argument that the PGA Tour was maybe the better option, but we'll see. I mean, that's kind of the play now, is like, if you haven't accepted PGA Tour status, this is an option that's on the table. And Wasasso felt like that's the best move for him, whatever the dollar amounts were, being on Phil's team, whatever the reasons are. And let's see if he goes out and plays well, then great. But there was no guarantees of him being on the PGA Tour next year. He very well could have been on the Korn Ferry, or even if he had a poor spring, I don't know if he could have dropped out of the Korn Ferry Tour slot of 2 to 5. But yeah, it's kind of interesting, right?
I think it's interesting in that, we talked about a number of these young guys that have gone, the Caleb Surratts, the David Puges that are, it's like you're just essentially, even going back to the beginning, Eugenio Shikara, of like, okay, you're making a bet at the beginning of your career that this is going to be a pathway that's going to help you develop, right? Like, you're not taking money at the end of your career for all your career success. You're taking money at the beginning and hoping you can play your way back into the ecosystem of majors and all things you aspire to as a young professional golfer. And I just, the timing's interesting to me, because I think that pathway felt more viable when, like a David Puge, you could play the DP World Tour and still be in this sort of appeal gray area and not have to pay fines or have the league pay fines for you, and kind of try to keep your earn OWGR points or do whatever you need to do. And now those things are sort of closing off. So it's really just, you can play Live, you can play these Asian Tour sort of international series, things like that. But there seems to be less and less for the young player to do outside of just Live. It's a little curious to me. But, I think for a lot of the stated reasons, he said being around Phil, major championship experience, helping him develop and grow. I think he's making a bet on that. Not necessarily a bad bet, but it's just a bet that he's making. So it's interesting.
Yeah. With 14 events, it all just depends on how he plays, right? If he goes out and plays well and, earns a bunch of money along the way doing this and confidence from playing against really good players that are out on the Live Tour, then he's guaranteed himself to have a tee time every single week against, some very, very good players, and especially veteran players. And shoot, at the mentorship from Phil, and that's something that you definitely will receive to being on his team. Whether that helps him play better golf, I don't know. I imagine there's plenty that you could learn from an unbelievable player like Phil, but it's just interesting. It's something that I've never been offered a sum of money to go play on another tour, so I can't relate to it at all. So whatever it was, it had to be worth it, and had to feel like it was the best decision for him. So good luck to him.
Last golf topic before we hit the grab bag, and then at some point in time, you're going to have to make your way out to LAX. So we'll see how much time we have for all the remaining topics in this show. But Brooks Koepka makes his return to the PGA Tour this week at the Farmers Insurance Open. And so just quickly, Smylie, what would you define this week as success for Brooks? And then for the tour itself, they've sort of had this coup in bringing Brooks back. What is the best case scenario for the tour this week? What is the worst case scenario for the tour this week?
I think he needs to be around for the weekend. I think that would help.
Right.
So I think
tough, right?
I think that's, the worst case is that he's not around for the weekend, but I think it's just a positive in any way you look at it that Brooks is back playing. Just seeing him play on the PGA Tour again, I think he's going to be excited about it. It's Torrey Pines is a epic golf course that we're all super familiar with, and to see him back out on the grounds on the PGA Tour, I think that's obviously going to be the win. Whether he goes out, if he goes and wins, obviously that would be just insane. I'm not expecting that, but I would love for him to see his name on near the top of the leaderboard. That would be a lot for us to talk about next week. So selfishly, I hope he has a great week.
I love it. Yeah, it'll certainly be interesting. And I'm kind of with you. It's like, even if he misses a cut, I don't think it's the end of the world. But anything past missing the cut, like if he's just in and around it, on the weekend, it's a huge, huge win, just visibility. And you can expect a lot of feature group coverage for Brooks this week. So
you're not going to miss a shot. It'll be Scotty Tiger like.
Yes. All right. Well, Smylie, let's get to the grab bag. Shall we start with your first ever earthquake review?
Oh,
how was it? How was it for you? Do you enjoy it?
Yeah.
I grew up in California, so we had a number of these here hiding under the desks in the classroom. I just want to know how it was for you as an Alabama kid.
So it was Monday, and it was right around 6:30. The game is on, the national championship game, and I am at your local laundromat. And I am at the laundromat. I've been there for way too long. I've already had an experience trying to get the detergent out of the vending machine. I pay
Hold
for
on
it.
now. Do you do your own laundry on the road? Do you go to the laundromat?
I did this time. Yes, I'm at a
wow.
laundromat. I'm at a vending machine.
Man of the people. That's a huge, huge reveal. I love that for you.
So there's the spring that pushes the detergent down for you to grab it when it drops. And so I pay for it, and this thing starts spinning this way, and it gets all the way to the edge, doesn't drop. And I look around, I'm like, where's customer service? This is ridiculous. And I look around and I'm like,
where's the customer service desk at a laundromat? This is
like, who's got
great.
the key to pull out this detergent? And of course I look around and say, I'm gonna have to buy this again, aren't I? I say, yep. Mm-hmm. So I go pay for it again, starts to do it again, and just barely gets down. And I'm like, okay, all right. So now I've bought two deals of detergent. And so I'm doing the laundry, watching the game, got my earplugs in, and I'm on my second round with the dryer because it's not drying very well. And I get back to this very corner, and if you've ever been to a laundromat, it's kind of loud and it kind of shakes. And so if you have earplugs in, you can imagine that you kind of have just a bit of a hum, and maybe just the shaking is not unusual. So I'm over there and I'm like kind of refreshing everything in the dryer, and I turn around and there was probably 15 or 20 people in there, and there's nobody in the laundromat. Like everybody's gone. And then this old lady comes up to me and she says, "Are you okay?" And I was like, I take my earpiece out. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." She's like, "Did you not just feel that earthquake?" I was like, "Earthquake? What do you mean earthquake?" She's like, "Yeah, everybody just sprinted out of the laundromat to make sure that the building didn't come down on them." I was like, am I being punked? And so I had no idea that an earthquake had happened because I'm over here by 30 dryers that are just shaking like this already. Meanwhile, I didn't know that everything in this building was already shaking. It was like a 4.8 on the magnitude thing, or whatever how you measure it, and which is allegedly on the feeling on the high side, or at least you should feel it. And so I had no idea that I experienced my first earthquake. But can you imagine if I would have went down in the laundromat? What a bad way to go out. That would have been terrible.
That bingo card, like if you had the betting slip on Smylie Kaufman buried in the rubble of a laundromat in like La Quinta or Palm Springs, there's so many steps you would have had to take to get there that are improbable. That was such a good reveal, Smylie. I didn't know what to expect. I thought maybe the course and something was shaking. The fact that, and again, this is not, you are a man of the people, but the fact that you went to do your laundry at a laundromat and then did not know it was happening because you were both not from a place where earthquakes happen normally, but were just thought it was the vibration of the dryers. Amazing stuff. Truly amazing stuff.
I felt like it was in a James Cameron movie, man. Just like Day After Tomorrow situation. It's like, where'd everybody go?
It's so good. That's so good. All right, let me tell you what I want to do here, because we have more stuff, but we're on the subject of weather. So now's probably as good a time as ever to bring Jaxon Brown in for the Exploding Trees report. So Jaxon, if you just let's get you in here.
Hey, Jax.
We're texting. Hello. First of all, hello, Jax. Second of all, we're texting pictures of exploding trees in the group chat this week. Like we're talking weather right now. Weather's a hot topic amongst our group chat. I don't know where you want to begin with your your rundown on how this happens, what it sounds like, but it's currently what temperature where you are now and how frequent. In the same way that like I know about earthquakes in California, I have no clue about exploding trees and your neck of the woods. So just tell me everything I need to know about it.
Well, thank you for having me on for such a pressing issue. This is something that is going viral right now. Exploding trees. There's something that a lot of people are concerned about. But I'm here as a non-biased northerner to tell you that there's not too much to worry about. What's happening right now is we've been going through a vicious cold front. We got to around, I think, negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit for like 3 days in a row. And that wouldn't typically be too much of an issue up here. But what happened right before that was we had a little bit of a warm spell. So we had a lot of melting snow, a lot of water, a lot of sap gathering in these tree trunks. And during that time, it gathers, and then we hit a drastic cold front, right? So all of that liquid expands. It creates this massive exploding sound. Now, this isn't an explosion like a James Cameron movie. You're not getting hit with shards of wood. You're not getting bark flying. But what it will do is it'll crack the entire tree trunk from top to bottom like a strike of lightning. And it'll kind of snap the tree off to a side, and you could have to deal with, potentially a falling tree situation, look out below sort of situation. So there are some dangers presented, maybe not quite as dangerous as the internet is making it seem right now, but that's where we're at.
It sounds like a gunshot almost too.
That's exactly right.
If I was in the neighborhood of these exploding trees, I would be ducking for cover thinking somebody was shooting up my house, but it's just trees popping off, really.
Well, funny story is, so I lived out in the middle of nowhere in Wisconsin growing up, and we lived right on public hunting land. And so I'd be out there on property and just be hearing complete, like what sounded like gunshots coming from the woods. And you really have no idea what you're hearing. So yeah, a little interesting phenomena about the North Woods.
And it's funny, Charlie, I just discovered these exploding trees. I went to Twitter to go find these things, and boy, oh boy, that is something that I've never seen before, and I hope to never see. Because if you have me around anything below 0, something went terribly wrong.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, Jaxon.
Yeah.
Do you think, would it be more improbable to have Smylie in a forest with exploding trees, or prior to this conversation, finding Smylie in a laundromat? Like in your mind?
I was as surprised on the
Right?
laundromat situation as you were. I commend him. That's no disrespect, Smylie, but that was
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then, yeah, I mean, we're definitely not talking about earthquake level danger here with the exploding trees, but something definitely to monitor.
Yeah, it's grit week.
That's right.
If we take something away from Pardon My Take, and sometimes you just gotta make the plays.
That's right.
I love it. That was a great report, Jaxon. It's something. We have a long list of things we're continuing to monitor on the show. We're going to add exploding trees to that list. Let's take it back, Smylie, to sunny California, where I have a video here I want to play for you, and maybe you can kind of walk us through this experience. We've talked about this bunker a number of different times on the show, and then we were delighted to find you on the broadcast enjoying a little slip and slide here into the 16th here at the stadium course.
Well, you can't get down this steep hill with tennis shoes on. There's no grip. All that dormant Bermuda is virtually dead. So you have no way to get down other than doing this, unless you have golf spikes on. And so when I got down there, I was reminded of how difficult that shot was. And when we did this live preview of where the whole location was for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and they had me hit the shot and try to, kind of simulate what these players were going to do this week. There's this fear factor of, okay, all right, now I know what Johnson goes through, or what he did go through on these live from takes. And so I put that first ball down and I said, all right, here goes nothing. And luckily for me, I hit 2 good shots. The first one I caught almost too good, ends up to about 15 or so feet. And the second one I clipped perfect. Luckily enough, it wasn't I was able to swing hard at it. I think it would have been worse if I would have been short-sighted in a bunker, one that had to be, really good with my touch. This one was just, all right, we're going to just smack this and see where it goes. And luckily for me, I'm just going to give myself the birdie and chalk it up as a win.
That's a gimme. That's gimme range. While we're on the topic of handicap management, Scottie doing the same on the 17th. We're gonna give you tap and birdie there. Very nice. I don't understand why they don't build stairs into the side of that thing. That would be my one curiosity.
Because you could slide down. Why not?
That's fair. That's fair. All right, I love it. Well, I can't wait to see the footage on this. Hopefully, we can turn this into a little social clip. This is actually a nice segue into the PGA Show recap, because the same Cleveland wedge that you splashed out to gimme range from that bunker was one that I was on the range with Roger Cleveland himself, getting some tutorials this week. Got some good chipping notes, Smylie, that I think are going to really update the game this year. And was also the same day, I think it was the day after, you were sending me screenshots of you roasting the 6-on driver. I was out there demo day, like 40 degrees, howling winds, just pumping this thing down range. All right. So we have the Tinkerer is back. The Tinkerer is back to tinkering. Happy to report that. I'll tell you what, that show is overwhelming. There is so much happening there. And I think
you could see why I needed it. You could see why I needed a year off. I just couldn't do it.
I was there with the Big Plum, Brian Stansfield, and it's like you feel like you're just scratching the surface, and you're not sure that you want to scratch more than the surface. I think if we go back, I just don't know how you see all of it. There's like a zillion. It took literally 20 minutes to walk from one side of it to the other to set up our studio for the Cameron Young record. That was my first entry into this whole convention center. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, I mean, it really is amazing. If you're a golf lover, golf fan, it's fun to just kind of cruise around. But you're right, you're not going to see it all. But it makes you appreciate the amount of people that have, whether it be small businesses, that they're trying to grow into something big, and it's also cool to see all the other big companies, to see what they're up to, and all the changes and all the big teams that they have. My goodness. But yeah, it's a cool show. I'm glad you got to experience for the first time, but really the show is at the Hyatt bar. I mean, that's what the show is.
It was too loud at the Hyatt bar, I'll be honest.
Oh, it's a nice hum. You can hear it from a quarter mile away, the hum coming from that bar.
I thought it literally sounded like it was like a swarm, like a hornet's nest or something. I was
full of tetequila.
Yeah, I need to get out of here. This is scaring me. Yeah, two nights at the Hyatt bar. That was I should say I'll give it 2.5 because then I had to go back on the last day to pick up my credit card that I left there the night before. That felt like the right.
Not the first person. Not the first guy.
First or last. I'll wrap up this show, Smylie, with the redemptive arc that nobody saw coming. Because in an effort to get home, I had to do the thing that I never thought I'd do again, which is book flights with American Airlines. And by golly, Smylie, they got it done. They did a good job. They helped me change on the fly. There was a tight connection. I almost like my flight started boarding when I was still on the plane that landed. They got my bags onto that flight to go home to Raleigh, Durham. I think I had them on my do not fly list, and they're all the way back. So you know what? People can change. Airlines can change. American Airlines, thanks for getting me home to see the family. And who knows? Anything's possible. Well, with that in play.
Noted. Duly noted. That's good to hear. I'm glad you got home.
Yeah, well, that's a good segue to the fact that you need to go to LAX right now and catch a flight.
Traffic is buzzing in LA, so
like the Hyatt bar, in Orlando,
like the Hyatt bar. But yeah, I'm excited about this week coming up. We got a lot, of course. I mean, the Blades Brown, having him join the show was great. American Express week was fun, and the Cam Young conversation. I think people, Cam is so quiet. It just feels like he's to himself. And he gave us so much, and just to be able to open up and just what his professional career has been like to this point, it was fun to kind of revisit that entire timeline. And he was gracious with his time because we were having technical difficulties, and he said, "I'll hang in there with you." And I'm glad he did.
One of my favorites all time, sincerely. Just really cool to hear him talk about process. So once again, if you were watching this on the Golf Channel, a reminder, you can find everything we do in full length on our YouTube channel. That's at The Smylie Show. Check us out there. Same handle for all of our socials. And yeah, we appreciate you watching and listening as always, coming along for the ride. We hope you enjoy the week of content ahead. And we'll talk to you right back here very, very soon.
I listen to this podcast. It's really cool. And
all of our lovely fans and subscribers, but make sure you like and subscribe.
It's cool to see what you guys are doing. I know golf fans appreciate it, but we do too, so please keep it up.
For all the good people at YouTube, like and subscribe.
You guys have some good takes, so I'm happy to come on and shoot the